But George Clooney is nothing in obscene politics compared to the man whose picture I could have put up, but I thought he might sue me or put an FBI hit out on me, Donald Trump. So I'm going to leave him obscenely unimagined here. But he is sort of the king of obscene politics in the two routes, right? The Latin and the Greek. And his Access Hollywood bus ride sort of was a brilliant collision of the two, that famous bus ride that many people thought would undo him, but didn't, in which he said tons of obscene, grotesque, misogynist things. That was the Latin side of the route. But in that, he was caught accidentally off stage, wasn't he? He was mic'd by accident. This was seemingly a private conversation. And so it had elements of the Greek obscenity as well. I just wanted to read you a bit from the book at this point, just because there's a lot of quotes in it, and it's a bit complicated. But I just wanted you to think about how Donald Trump is always using the behind-the-scenes view, not just with tweeting all the time from his sort of bedroom at 11 p.m., but his whole campaign strategy was to undermine normal political structures by calling attention to them in an obscene way. So, as I write, like a good Attic comedian of the Greek theatre, one of Donald Trump's aims during the election was to call attention to the theatrical necessities of the campaign. Unlike his 59-year-old bus-riding self, he always knew where the cameras were pointed. During the press conference to announce former rival Ben Carson's endorsement of him, Trump voiced his frustration that during his big stadium rallies, the cameras never turn around to show the size of his audiences. Even then, he was going on about audience size. He also unveiled his behind-the-scenes strategies, the ruthlessness of his machinations. After Ben Carson edged ahead in a poll, Trump recalled to the reporters, "I said this guy's unbelievable, and so I started going after Ben, and it's politics, and Ben understands that." My Trump impression is impeccable. Trump's strategy all along was to highlight the artificiality and contingencies of the political stage. But it was during this press conference that Ben Carson put the cat amongst the postmodern pigeons. There are two different Donald Trumps, Carson said. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, who sits there and considers things very carefully. And that's the Donald Trump that you're going to start seeing more and more of right now. We're still waiting. After a fumbling hug, Trump took over the podium to answer questions, and the journalists in attendance pursued Carson's theory with great interest. They asked Trump to expand on this proposed duality. They used words such as persona, character, and performance. Trump initially agreed with the verdict. "I think there are two Donald Trumps. There's the public version, and people see that, and it seems to have worked over my lifetime. But it's probably different, I think, from the personal Donald Trump." Now, while it doesn't seem unreasonable for someone to suggest that they behave differently in public than in private life, Trump is too keen to insist on the inherent falsity of the politician's public life for this distinction to be useful to him. Speaking about campaign financing, he said the past experience in early elections prepared him for this one. "I know it from the real side," he claimed, "not the politician's side." And so it wasn't long before he distanced himself from Carson's two-Trump model, which compromised his position as unmediated and unmasked. "I don't think there's two Donald Trumps," he said, adding, with a tortuous existentialism worthy of Sartre, "I try to be who I am." Think of that for a second. I try to be who I am. And now, where does this leave us? A politician who brazenly positions himself as an obscene figure who will say, politics is like this, it's corrupt, this is how it all works, and I'm going to make it real, and yet profiting from the whole system. And there was a thinker called Herbert Marcuse who said that obscenity of the Latin sort, of the disgusting, sort of crude, swear-wordy kind of obscenity, was one mode of resistance that we had. He said if someone is taking public office and trying to decorously say awful things, then we can shout insults at them, call them pig or whatever, or things like that. But what happens when the person themselves who is taking office no longer abides by the codes of the normal decency and is himself an obscene politician? Those shouts of calling him President Pig in Marcuse's words, or saying oink, oink, oink whenever he speaks, when the oinks are already sort of filtered in naturally by the politician themselves, what's sort of our next act of resistance?
For more debates, talks and interviews, subscribe today to the Institute of Art and Ideas at IAI TV.